Hello, everybody. It's Holly. We're back. I had a little vacation, sort of, kind of. I attended a ghost conference in Seaside in Oregon, and I love it. It's so much fun. Anyway, I have a special guest with me here today. This is Summer. Say hello, Summer.
Hi.
So, Summer is on a ghost team that I am a part of, and we're going to talk about a few things today. But Summer is here to share her very first ghost experience and then to tell us about what ghost hunting means to her and what that's all about. So, Summer, tell us, for the viewers and listeners, what was the first time you had a serious idea that the paranormal was not a joke and that it was real for you? When did it become real for you?
So I was probably, I want to say 14, 15 years old
Oh,
when
wow.
I had my first experience.
Okay.
I was in my bedroom, always in the middle of the night. My feet would start tingling and I would be estranged by it because why are my feet tingling in the middle of the night? It made no sense to me. Told my mom. My mom, at this time, she didn't believe what I was saying to her or my stepdad. And my stepdad did believe everything I was probably telling him, but he
Okay.
was trying to tell my mom. My mom, of course, obviously didn't believe in any sort of paranormal at all at the time.
Okay.
And so my feet would tingle in the middle of the night. I always thought maybe somebody was around me. I always could not sleep sometimes. I would toss and turn. I always feel like somebody was watching me.
Wow.
After a while, though, after my stepdad told his side of his story of his paranormal experience,
Right.
and with my mom, with her video evidence that she got when she was on her weight loss journey, there was a um, person that we could never rule out of like who it was
Okay.
for like a little while. And we brought in a different paranormal team. Well, to find out that there was a paranormal team that did the investigation of our whole house, did the research of the house, and everything like that.
Okay.
Um, there was a spirit in our attic that in my parents' old house. Well, and then I always found out there was always a spirit following me around when I was a kid. Never knew who it was. They asked me, the paranormal team asked me if I knew anybody that lost a loved one and they were trying to get through me. Well,
Huh.
at the time, I had a guardian angel and I didn't know that I did. It was my
Okay.
great grandmother, and she would always push other spirits away to basically protect me for the longest time.
Nice.
And people, of course, didn't believe me when I would tell my friends these things at the time because I was 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
But I just had my first paranormal experience with like my feet and everything like that, and always felt like somebody was watching me.
Right.
And after a while, we went to I don't know if my stepdad ever told you this story, but we went to Tombstone, Arizona when I was a girl,
Okay.
and we took cameras, we took our recordings and stuff like that, and we actually caught something in Tombstone on camera. I don't know if my stepdad still has this or not, but he stopped a recording of one of the videos and there was a figure on the camera. You could see the beard, you could see the cat, you could see the face, you could see
Wow.
everything.
I have not heard
And
this story. Wow.
yeah, so there's certain stories that I remember that stick to me, and my
Sure.
parents will be like, I don't remember that. Well, I sure do.
Right.
So, and the other thing is, my brother is very, um, he just doesn't believe in paranormal or anything like
Okay.
that, which everybody has their own beliefs of
Of
that.
course. Of course.
So he was like, oh, it's probably like a smear on the camera or whatnot. So he
Right.
was not really into it. But we caught a few things while we were in Tombstone, Arizona, and Tombstone is, of course, a haunted place in America. So definitely, if you have not been, definitely check it out. It's very interesting and great history experience for sure. Um,
Nice. So
but
what prompted you guys to go? I have to ask. What made you guys decide to do that?
so my stepdad was actually interested in going there, and we always did growing up family vacations every summer. We went anywhere from Hershey, Pennsylvania to Disney World to Disneyland to just traveling.
Right.
And mind you, we drove to Tombstone, Arizona. We did not fly to Tombstone, Arizona.
Oh,
This
wow.
is gonna be a funny story, quick little short story here.
Gotcha.
We
Gotcha.
we took a convertible down to Tombstone, Arizona. Me,
Oh,
my
wow.
brother, in the back seat of the car.
Wow.
Suitcases, very uncomfortable. Don't
Okay.
recommend.
Okay.
Don't recommend that. But my stepdad was just very interested in going, and I watched videos. After that, I watched like a bunch of historical videos that I had no idea about for
Okay.
Tombstone. So it was very interesting when we went down there. We also went to the Grand Canyon. So while we were down there,
Wow.
but yeah,
But you didn't have any pre-knowledge as a 14-year-old about Tombstone. You really didn't know what the big deal
no,
was. Oh, wow.
no. I was just in it for the ride. I was like, all right, let's go. It was a family vacation,
Oh,
so you got to
funny.
enjoy it. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, that's my little spiel of, I guess, paranormal summer vacation life. So,
Interesting. Wow.
yeah.
So after going there, what did you discover? What was your vote about it being haunted? Did you feel like, yeah, for sure it's haunted, or
Yeah, for sure. I didn't feel anything when I was there because I
okay.
have the ability to feel some type of energy when I'm around certain spirits. I have
Hmm.
the ability to, of course, communicate with children.
Okay.
Still this day, I have no idea why or
O-
how.
Okay.
Um, but they always told me that I have a mother figure of talking to children. So
Okay.
children always like to communicate with me and talk to me, and I've gotten some evidence, especially while I was in the Stanley Hotel and I
Okay.
stayed there with my parents. It was during their anniversary time. I just was like third wheel for the ride type of thing.
Right.
Staying in the Stanley Hotel, that place is definitely 100% haunted. I stayed in a room by myself on the third story of the
Okay.
hotel, and while my parents were downstairs, I heard scratching on the dressers. I heard knocks. I heard everything, and I was in the room by myself,
Yikes.
mind
So
you.
so for people, let's back up a second. So for people that
Uh,
have never heard of the Stanley Hotel, explain to people what that is and where that is.
So the Stanley Hotel is located in Colorado, and it's known to be a very haunted hotel. And there's been a bunch of movies that have been filmed there. There's a bunch of stories to tell from famous actors and actresses that stayed there.
Okay.
Um, in the third story, I think it was the third story, the second story, there was an explosion that happened and ruined the downstairs to where the dining room is now. And it used to
Okay.
be like a stage and everything like that. There's a huge explosion. One person died there.
Oh,
So the theory is it was a maid of some sort that
okay.
passed away there. And here's a little story, I guess, for an actor. Jim Carrey stayed in room two. I think it's like 214 or something like that. I can't remember
Okay.
what the number is, but one of the rooms is actually super haunted. And
Okay.
Jim Carrey stayed in there and he left for the day. He didn't put away anything in his suitcase. He just left for the day. He came back. All his stuff was put away. He went downstairs to the front desk and asked the front desk, "Oh, who put my stuff away? I'd like to thank them for that. They didn't have to do that." Well, they said nobody. Automatically, Jim Carrey said, "Get me out. I want a different room. I do not want to stay in this room. If I'm going to have some sort of activity in there, I don't want to be
Right.
able. I don't want to see any of it." So
Right.
of course they moved him out of there. But there's supposedly children on the third story running up and down the halls. There's a movie. Oh gosh, what is it called? But like Red Rum. I forget what movie it is, but
Mm.
if you know what movie I'm
The
talking
Shining?
about,
Is
yes,
it The
thank you.
Shining? Okay.
Yeah. The
Okay.
Shining is based off the Stanley Hotel.
Oh, okay,
So
right. You're right. Yes.
so the children, those 2 children are supposedly the ones that are running up and down the halls on the 3rd
Ah,
story,
gotcha.
and they say there's other figures that are around the hotel as well. Well, I got my first ever EVP from the Stanley Hotel.
Really?
I had my first experience at the Stanley Hotel of
Oh, wow.
emotional experience with children. So, and this was with William, and he's part of a different paranormal team, if everybody
Okay.
knows who he is.
Okay.
He taught me how to connect my emotions with the spirits and how to
Okay.
control it.
Okay.
So I took an EVP session. I went to a private room and I just wanted to talk to somebody.
Right.
It didn't matter who, if it was a child, adult, it didn't matter to me who I was talking to. I
Okay.
sat down in one of a different dining room in the Stanley Hotel, and it was open to the public. Basically, you could go anywhere in the hotel. It wasn't
Okay.
strict to anybody. So I went into this room and I just asked simple questions. Over time, when I was listening to it, I got no response after a while. Then these 2 couples, I remember this 2 couple walked through as I'm doing my recording. They didn't know what I was doing. So I just thought it was very rude, though, that they just walked through and I'm trying to do an EVP session. I got a
Mhm.
response, yeah, it is on there, and it sounded like a child's voice. So I was like, "Oh, interesting. Okay." So I got a little bit of goosebumps when I listened back to it, and I heard
Right.
that because I didn't hear it at all, but I got it on the EVP.
Okay.
So which was very interesting to me.
So that was
I
the first time that you had a time to intentionally try to listen to a ghost? Is that the
mhm,
very first time?
mhm,
Okay.
yeah.
And how
And
old were
that
you
was
when that happened?
I was probably 17 years old or 18 or so. I can't remember. 16, 17 years old.
Okay.
Um, and I thought I had some good connections while I was there. So I would definitely like to go back, but that's up in the air right now.
Yeah.
So, um, especially having our team go to the Stanley Hotel would be interesting. But now they have certain investigations closed off to the public there now because the Stanley Hotel got bought out by somebody else.
Gotcha.
So, which really sucks. But the history there is great. Everything that's been done there is great. Dumb and Dumber was actually filmed there.
Oh,
So,
funny.
if you didn't know that, well, now you do.
Gotcha.
But it's been most of my childhood experiences with the paranormal have been great. So, I wouldn't change it for the world at all to
Yeah.
believe that there is things that are, stuck in this world that, can't cross over, but sometimes they need help
Right.
and it doesn't hurt to help them sometimes. But
Right. I agree.
yeah,
So when did you figure out that you have a gift dealing with children ghosts? I mean, when did that become a real thing for you? What
when I
happened?
went when I went to the Stanley Hotel, that was
So
like
that's
my
when you learned
over
that?
mhm
Okay. And then what
cuz
has happened since then?
I mean, I don't have much experiences other than going to people's houses sometimes. I experience things, or I don't really experience anything when I'm out in public because I like to keep that bundled up unless I'm out doing an investigation. Then I
Gotcha.
like to interfere with the afterlife because I don't want to experience something and be like, not focused on what I'm doing in my life right now, like, in the
Gotcha. Well,
moment.
that's smart. That's smart.
So, yeah.
Okay. So after you did the Stanley Hotel, how did that affect your life? What did you think about that? When you realized there was a ghost listening to you and responding to you, what was that like?
I feel like it was a big click to me
Yeah?
because Growing up, I just pushed the paranormal off to the side because as I got older, I just was enjoying being a child and being almost an adult even,
Right.
that when I
Right.
went to the Stanley Hotel, I was like, "Wow, okay, this is an ability that I have. Maybe I should use it in the future."
Mhm.
And that spirits, especially children, like to connect with me, and that they always looked at to me as a mother figure and that they're comfortable with, and
Right.
versus talking to somebody that they don't know and they're scared for.
Right.
And I every time I do an investigation, my hands the first thing that happens are my hands start to tingle if somebody is near me,
Okay.
and my hands are small. My hands are like a child-sized hand. So
Okay.
they always I feel that they think that, "Okay, well, she has child-sized hands, maybe she's a child." Because everybody always looks at me and they're like, "How old are you?"
Oh,
Versus
gotcha.
'cause I always get carded.
Gotcha.
'Cause I look younger. So, I mean, they I just feel that children, like, uh, spirits have just a great connection with me, and I, to this day, don't know why other
Yeah.
than a mother figure, but
Interesting. Interesting. So, tell me what it's like to do ghost investigations. How did that come about? When did you start doing that?
so, for me, my first ghost investigation was with, when was my first one? I would say in downtown Portland with my
Okay.
parents before we did the Stanley Hotel.
Okay.
So, it was at what was the place called in Portland? It was like a pizza place, that the Underground Tours of Portland, I think is,
Gotcha.
those tours.
Okay.
That was my first, like, what they call a ghost tour, and at the
Okay.
time, I was like, it's just history to me, not a big deal." And I was
Right.
kind of young, maybe 14 at the time, I don't remember, but, there's so many ghost tours that I've done, and, it was me, my stepdad, and my mom, and I think my brother went to this because my brother's into history, he's not into the paranormal. But we all went and we did this investigation. It was a long walk and everything else, and I did that tour twice in my life,
Okay.
um, and that there was some suspicious things down there in the underground tunnels that I was kinda iffy about because I always felt like somebody was, like, watching me when I was down there.
Okay.
But there were always big groups and everything, so obviously, if you did an EVP session, which I never did during those, I took my EMF reader with
Okay.
me, and that it would always go off, always. Every
Okay.
time I walked,
For
I
listeners and viewers, explain what that does and what that's for, if they've never
so
heard of this before.
so an EMF is I'm trying to remember what the EMF is stands for. I have to like do my research on all these things, but an EMF, it's basically there's a green to a red on it. So
Okay.
the green to me is just like there's nothing going on, but automatically to a red, it will be like responding to your questions type of thing, or they're just there and they're touching it. So it'll be if I had one on me, I could show you, but I don't have one.
That's okay.
Um,
So it's a type of equipment that's used to register electromagnetic frequencies because
yeah.
as ghost investigations have learned, ghosts put forth electricity just like humans do. Different levels, of course, different frequencies. But when they get near a ghost investigator with this type of equipment, the light she's talking about, green means there's nothing around you necessarily that's registering. Red means there's something right in front of you, or there's something touching the equipment, possibly talking. There's not a whole lot of science to back all of it up, but it has been connected with recordings where if someone's meter's going off and there's a recording going on at the same time, they tend to link up. So it's
Hmm.
usually easy to link the two together, that there's there's a frequency happening that can be tracked, and usually there's sound going on with it or some other activity. Okay, go ahead. So you were down in the tunnels walking through with your device, and what
Mhm.
happened?
It was going off every now and then, so it'd go from, like, the green to the red,
Mm-hmm.
like, every so often, every time I would, like, walk through.
Right.
And my mom, she always brought her camera to
Mm-hmm.
places, and she at the time, she just took lots of pictures no matter what, and again, I think I was 14. I age does not click here half the
Right.
time when
Gotcha.
I'm
That's all right.
doing these investigations. But she always took pictures no matter what, because that's what they told her to do. They If you
Right.
brought your camera, take pictures. My mom loves her cameras.
Gotcha.
So she took lots of pictures, and we would go home, we would look at the pictures. There would be, of course, nothing on the pictures at all. But I
Okay.
always got a feeling that somebody was watching me, following me. And
Right.
I wanted on the tour, there is a hotel in Portland that it's the women's bathroom. Mind you, I don't know why it is always the women's bathroom, because every investigation I do, it's always the women's bathroom.
Oh, funny.
And there's the hotel, I don't remember what the hotel's name is, but it's an expensive hotel in the women's bathroom downstairs or the second floor. There is a lot of activity in there.
Okay.
And um my EMF would go off like crazy in there every time.
Okay.
And they say there's a voice that they hear in there that's like a woman's voice or sometimes a
Okay.
man's voice. And nobody could figure out for the longest time of what it was.
Okay.
And then we would where's the other spots that were the tour leads? And I think it's mostly just down in the tunnels, and they would take you up into Portland and show you different spots of Portland. But most of the time, it would be past, I think, Chinatown, I think, is where these are over by Chinatown. Um, I haven't done the investigation in a long time, so I'd be
Okay.
interested to do that one again.
Right.
Um, the other one I did, oh gosh, where is it? It's in Portland too. Most of my investigations I've done are in Portland or Oregon area.
Okay.
It's a bar in Portland. It's like first Thursday of the month that they do it. They have it open, or the second Thursday of the month that they have it open to the public to go
Okay.
downstairs in their basement. And there's always a guy, like a spirit guy, that loves his Jack or his whiskey or anything like that. So they always pour him a glass of whiskey every
Okay.
time they go down there. And there's always people who take pictures while they're down there, and everybody has evidence that there is a spirit down there, or
Really?
like it's a good spirit, so there's like no harm done or anything like that.
Right.
So because they're having a good time, they always love the company and everything. So
Sure.
um what are the other ones I've done? I've done the Stanley, I've done the downtown Portland ghost tour, I've done the bar one. I guess I've done the Seattle underground tours, but more for like history perspective. But there is, they say, activity down there, and they always have it open to the public
Okay.
every day for the tours. And it starts out in a bar. Mind you, I feel all the tours start out in bars for ghost activity too, because I feel like that's where most of the spirits like to party. I don't know,
Okay.
um, but that one was interesting too because of how far the tunnel went. The Portland tunnels, though, they closed off some of them to the public because it's too dangerous, and it's just too much that they have to work on to open them all.
Right.
Um, and they want to. I've heard that they wanted to open all of them up to the public because it'd be interesting.
Sure.
but it's just a lot to get them finished and everything. So, um, the Seattle one though is pretty long. Of course, like I said, it starts in a bar and then it goes all the way down to I don't remember what street it is, but basically you have to do a big loop around to figure it all out.
So, for somebody that's
Um,
never been on a tour, can you explain what the purpose of this is and why people go on these?
I think the tours are there because people want to know history because they may not actually know like when they come to Seattle or something and they don't know anything about Seattle like me, I don't know nothing about Seattle.
Okay.
I just know Seattle and Portland, their tunnels are like almost practically connected because that's how long the tunnels they said used to go are from Portland to Seattle. So I feel that the history behind them is important and people like to go on them or even ghost tours to be like, "Oh, who died here?" or "What's the history behind this?" and
Right.
figure out what is going on there so they know more information beyond it. So,
Okay. So now, with all of this different experiences that you've been through, what is it that makes you want to continue? Why do you want to keep doing ghost investigations? What's in it for you?
I feel I feel like it's always interesting of the evidence that we get on our investigations or um, potentially maybe some closure that some may need, and to not necessarily close it all, but to have the same people come through so that they are like, "Oh, you're back. Welcome back. I want to talk to you. Let's get to further know each other," versus, doing an investigation. All right, time for you to cross. Not time for you to stay. Let's get you out of here. I that's not me. I like to know more information about something or someone that has crossed over, but I also know there are bad spirits out there that, that need to cross over versus staying around forever because it's
Right.
not great to have those type of spirits in this world. And if somebody needs that closure or needs to cross over or needs some type of push or something in that matter, then I feel like it's good to be on those type of investigations too. But at the same time, if somebody's just like, I need help, I don't know where I am, I'm just confused, I'm lost, then I want to, help them in the
Right.
long run versus them
Right.
being, I guess, stuck here.
Well, that makes
So,
sense. And I can say that for anyone that's never done a ghost investigation, what we're talking about may sound a little too woo woo for you, for some of you listening, but to be fair, if you've ever been through an investigation, and I recommend everyone go to one, at least try one. I mean, we
mhm,
just came back from the Oregon coast and seaside, and we had a few that we took part in together. And
mhm,
if you've never heard a ghost talking and it sounds completely ridiculous, I challenge you to go try it. You don't have to believe in anything. One of the questions that's asked before we get started is how many people believe in ghosts and how many don't. And there was actually a woman that said, I don't believe in ghosts at all, but she wanted to try. And
mhm,
she ended up using some of the equipment with us and asking some questions and getting answers. And for someone like me, talking to ghosts is normal. Um, but as Summer explained, her experience with ghosts was very mild and simple, and it's become more involved. And we tend to treat ghosts more like living people and
mhm,
know that they still have feelings and thoughts and stuff that they want to accomplish. And so the goal of ghost hunting is not necessarily to rid a home of a ghost, but to try and figure out why they're there and what's going on with them. Maybe they need
mhm.
to be there. Maybe there's some closure they need or some help. That's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
So,
Um, just to let viewers know, The experience, I don't know if Holly knows this, but there was like 6 or 7 people during this investigation that we actually did. It was open to the public, and this is
Right.
like once a year opportunity for the ghost conference.
Right.
So Bridge Tender is at Seaside, Oregon. So everybody check it out. It's great. It's amazing. I have gone twice now. Once when I was pregnant with my son, who is now 5 years, will be 5.
Wow.
And my first experience there was super interesting. That was my first ever like huge experience when I was pregnant.
Wow.
And um the bridge tender is connected. It's like it's basically a 2-in-1 investigation. It's early in the morning though, because we gotta wait till the bar closes type of
Right.
thing. You don't just close it off for the day.
Right.
Um so I never went upstairs in the bridge tender, but there's an upstairs to the bridge tender, everybody. So definitely, I'm saying check it out. Definitely check it out. Um, and the upstairs is great. It's interesting. I never went up there because I was pregnant with my son 5 years ago. So this time when I got to experience it, oh my gosh, it's so big up there. Um, and
So
I
what
always
was it like? Tell us what happened up there.
So for me, I was only up there for like 40 seconds because I didn't really experience anything when I was up there, but other people did that were part of that investigation the second night.
Right.
So my first night though, when we did the 2-in-1 investigation, um, I went over next door to the mini mart that's there, and there that was intense experience that I have ever seen since I was 14 because I never experienced anything like that before, ever.
Okay. So what she's
Uh,
talking about, I want to interject really quick. So when
mhm,
there's a building called the Bridge Tender that's a bar in Seaside, Oregon, that there's an annual ghost investigation that's allowed. The bar does not do them all year,
yeah.
only during the Oregon Ghost Conference. And it's connected or adjacent to another building that's a mini mart or was a mini mart at the time of this investigation. And so we took tours of people between the two buildings that are literally kind of connected on this small little area of the main road. And there was different energy in the different locations. Would you agree with that?
Yes. Agreed.
Okay. And it's familiar or common for people to interact with a madam by the name of Ruby. And there's typically some ghosts that are in the bathroom, usually
Mhm.
children. And Summer's mom, Heidi, shout out to Heidi,
Hi,
um,
mom.
actually actually felt somebody pulling her finger
Uh-huh.
a couple of times, and several people, including myself, heard ghosts saying "mommy" in the bar. There
Oh
was
wow.
a
I did.
voice box that, yeah, I mean, it was over and over again. In fact, one of the ladies that had never been on a ghost investigation before was one of the ones that kept hearing it, and she was just floored. She was standing by the machine saying, "What is your name and what do you want?" And we'd get responses on the ghost equipment. And I love that because to me, as a psychic and a medium, that's validation. I mean, I
Mhm.
hear things all the time, but it's amazing when other people can hear stuff. I
Mhm.
love that. So tell me
Mhm.
about what happened in the mini mart next to the ghost tender bar that we went to.
So the mini mart, just so everybody knows, is actually there's some new owners taking over for it. So, but it's Mini Mart is closed for the upstairs portion. It's only open like once a year type of thing. That's
Mhm.
upstairs. And it was me and my stepdad and like 6 or 7 other people upstairs with us. We got these little cat ball toys that I've been telling everybody about this experience because it baffled me.
Nice.
So I put the ball on top of the chair, and my stepdad goes, "Why don't we move the ball to the floor if there's children?"
Right.
And I was like, "Okay, that makes more sense."
Hmm.
So we asked the children or whoever would be upstairs to move the ball. Um,
Okay.
and if they moved the ball, it would light up. Well, the ball would start shaking and shaking, and we're like, "Can you?" One of the people there asked, "Can you please move the ball?" And after a while, we gave it some time before we asked again, and then last time we asked it, it moved. It
Wow.
moved. I kid you not, like that much,
Oh, wow.
and I got chills up and down my back, my arms, everything because I was shocked that it moved. We
Sure.
tried to see, like, walking around it, if it would move. Obviously, nothing. So, always an investigation, you try to debunk things, right? You
Right.
try to see, did did somebody walk around it to move the ball? Did somebody blow on it? Obviously,
Right.
nobody blew on it because everybody was, like, sitting around in a circle upstairs,
Okay.
and everybody was just asking appropriate questions, not antagonizing them or anything
Right.
like that. And our sons of the one of the equipment that we had would EMF would go off. It went off after a while after they
Okay.
touched it, moved it. Um, and I got some responses from other people saying it was a great experience and everything.
Nice.
So because they never experienced it before.
Right.
So they got chills. They were like, "Whoa." Like, so it
Right.
was great. It was a great experience, definitely.
Right.
So,
So after you had the ball move and just imagine you're in a room with a bunch of adults, and this may sound completely absurd. You're standing in a circle
mhm,
watching a toy, and
mhm,
it's the size of a silver dollar. It's a cat toy,
mhm,
and it makes all these wonderful sparkly lights. It's meant to entertain cats. But if you can stand there and for no other earthly reason and think, what on earth could move this? What are the odds that something could move a couple of inches by itself? They don't. They have
yeah,
no way of propelling themselves. They don't just randomly move. They have to be touched or pushed in some way. And so
mhm,
to be able to be there trying to communicate with ghosts and getting some acknowledgement on a machine is one thing, but to actually watch something physically respond is intense. That's an incredible thing to watch
mhm,
because it's hard to explain the feeling that you get watching something like that and knowing that there's other things registering in another part of the room. I know several people that went between the two buildings and they talked about how exciting it was in the upstairs and that they felt stuff. And the night before I was in that room, and I know that there were energies in the bathroom in the mini mart. I mean, that
mhm.
was evident. Did you go in the bathroom in the mini mart?
I refuse to ever step foot in that bathroom after
Okay.
5 years ago with my stepdad's experience in there. So I
Okay, so let's
refuse.
talk about that. What happened there?
So 5 years ago, about 5 years ago. So, my we did the investigation. My stepdad goes in there, and he was told not to go in the shower. Always told not to go in the shower.
Okay.
He went in the shower or a bathtub. I think it's a shower that's in there. But he went
Okay.
in there and he just stood in there. He felt not great after being in there. He felt something heavy pushing on him or like
Right.
chest pain almost by
Okay.
being in there. So obviously to me, I was like, no, no. And my stepdad always told me to not go in there when I was pregnant
Okay.
because of the entities that were in there.
Okay.
So, and to this day, I still when I had to go to the bathroom the second night, and I said, "I am not using that bathroom. I will
Right.
hold it before I use
Right.
any sort of bathroom tonight."
Right.
So, I felt uneasy just walking past it because
Okay.
to me, it was just, bad information that was given to me that to this day sticks with me.
Okay.
And I don't
What do you
know
mean
what
by that? Elaborate what you mean by that.
I just for the experience that my stepdad had, I and everybody was like saying when they went in there with the second during the second night, people just felt uneasy going in there too. That it was just a not like super bad, but just uneasy experience to go in there and to feel something that was not comfortable with people going into the bathroom even. Like, if
Yeah.
somebody had to go to the bathroom, they're like, "What are you doing in here?" Basically,
Right.
"Get out."
Right.
So
When I tried to go in there, I felt that same pressure, and I hadn't talked to anybody about this. I was just
mhm,
part of the team, and I wanted to explore the different rooms, and I was assigned to downstairs, so I thought, "Okay, well, this is part of the downstairs." And I went to open the door, and it was like what she's describing, what Summer just used as a perfect description. It feels like being pushed down on. It felt like something was pushing on my head and my shoulders all at the same time. And so when I looked around the room, no lights on in the room, I felt like there were three ghosts in there. And I don't know what they're doing in there, but they don't want anyone in that room. That's their space, and they don't want anyone there. But
mhm,
I didn't get to communicate with them. I didn't stay in there very long because it is uncomfortable. It doesn't feel good. It feels uncomfortable. It feels unwelcoming, and it just feels like they're almost pushing you out of the room. It's like they don't want anyone in there. That's their space, and they don't want anyone around. But I
mhm,
don't know what their deal is. So it'd be interesting at some point maybe to do a little more investigation and find out what happened, because the uses of those buildings changed a lot over the last 100 years, and who knows who might have died there or had a traumatic experience that they feel like they need to stay in that area for some reason.
mhm.
There's who knows what the reasons are, but they're not happy. Whoever they are, they're not comfortable and happy in that
Yeah.
spot for sure. But of all the oddities, who would think a bathroom could be haunted? I mean,
Yeah.
wrap your brain around that for a second. What is that all about?
I don't know what it was, but my stepdad probably even mentioned in his interview with you that he just felt uneasy for a week. He didn't feel great for a week
Yeah,
after being in that bathroom.
yeah,
And
that's
I'm
not good.
always curious of these people that, that went into the bathroom during those investigations of how they're feeling now, if they're feeling uneasy or if they're still feeling okay. I
Right.
mean, most of the time for me is if you go into something and it's just uneasy, it's like they're just basically why don't be here type of attitude and they're like pushing on you. I'm always curious of like I guess how did you feel after you went into the bathroom? Are you still feeling fine after a week?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
see, before I do anything, just like the one investigation we had in Astoria, there's things that I do before and after to make sure that
Mhm.
nothing sticks with me,
Mm. Okay.
because
Okay.
that's what I do. That's part of my process.
Got it.
Everybody does their stuff differently, but yeah, and it's energy. Energy never dies. It just goes
Mhm.
somewhere. It's always there. It's never
Mhm.
gone. And I do my philosophy is included that if you're somewhere where there is an energy and it's weak, it may try to attach to you to gain some of your energy to help sustain itself.
Mhm.
And so
Mhm.
I don't want things coming home with me. I like what I have at my house just fine.
Agreed. Agreed.
So I don't want to add to that, but it happens. I mean, you can pick up energy just about anywhere. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
at a ghost hunt. It can be in the grocery store. It can be at the dentist's office. It can be anywhere.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
one thing is to tell the viewers is every time you do a ghost investigation and let's say you got something in response, always tell them, please stay. Do not
Yeah.
come home with me. If
Right.
you do not say those things, more than likely they will be attached to you and they could follow you home.
Right.
So rule of thumb is I was always told this to always say, stay here, do not come home.
Right.
So because then if you don't say that, they be attached to you, you're gonna have some crazy experiences happen in your home, and
That you might not
or
like.
yeah, and they may just now be attached to you. So always say those things because if not,
Right.
you might have a party going on in your house later. So Uninvited.
Uninvited. I love that. I love that. Well, because it's not that a ghost investigation is scary. That's not the whole point. You're not there. The TV depiction of what it is not what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's not shock and awe and scare and terror. And I mean, if you want terror, that's great. Watch a scary movie.
Yeah.
Um, this is more for, like she was saying earlier, Summer mentioned it. It's about closure and it's about
Mm-hmm.
connecting. And if you don't believe in this stuff, that's okay. We're not asking you to. If you would like to check it out and learn more about it, please do. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot to this ghost stuff, and I'm not surprised that it's becoming more popular. I'm not surprised that there's a ton of ghost tours. Um, I've been a psychic my whole life, but I didn't know there were ghost tours until a few years ago. I didn't know they existed. I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea. I'd heard of ghost towns and people visiting ghost towns, but I didn't know about EVPs or any of the gear that goes with it. I mean, that's all fairly new to me. I think it's wonderful. It's exciting and fun, and it reminds me that the world is a big, wonderful place, and we don't have all the answers, and we don't know everything, and so we get to learn more and experience as we try these things and
Mm-hmm.
experience more of life. Because to me, that's part of life.
Yep. Yep.
So,
I want viewers to know too. I am the person that believes that there's three locations after life. So I believe there is, of course, there's a hell. So after you go, if you experience something in your life, there's obviously a hell. And there's an in between. So for me, an in between is unfinished business that you're stuck here in this world. So if you made a promise to somebody or somebody made a promise to you and you need to stay here to make sure that promise is finished, that they get their deed done, then you stick around. That's what I always figured, that why my great grandmother is still sticking around, because she has unfinished things here with my parents, and they that my stepdad made a promise to her, so that she is still around. She's still sticking around until the deed is done.
gotcha.
And then of course there's a heaven. So to me, I just feel like there's three spots and after you go. And when a spirit is unsure after they go, they're stuck. They don't know where they belong or who they go to,
Right,
and that's why they're stuck here, because either
right,
they don't want to go to hell, and they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm stuck here now. I don't know what I should do with my life."
right.
So that's just me. That's how I see things, and I everybody has their own beliefs, and everybody can choose their own beliefs of things, but that's my personal opinion of what I see.
That's awesome. So, what are you most curious about in the paranormal these days? What are you looking into the most, or what are you most curious about?
I'm always curious about EVPs. I'm always curious of, because if I can't hear it, I want to hear it. I
Okay.
want to know what their response is, or sitting down and listening to it, because I have these headphones, they're expensive, and I love them. And
Yeah.
I brought my own EVP to the conference, and so I could listen into my own recordings, and
Nice.
I got some stuff, but I'm waiting for stepdad to make sure before he says that we can pass it off to people. So
That's very cool. So, what are you still curious about when it comes to the paranormal and ghost hunting? What do you want to know
I
more about?
I guess for me, I would like to know more about their past life, because I feel that for me, when I ask questions, they don't usually give it to me of like, "Oh, how old are you?" And they don't respond to that, and I feel that, or like, what era did you pass away in? Obviously, I know that's a like big thing to bring up, but like to know their past life and what they went through and everything else. So to know more about those things, for me, I also like history sometimes, so to know what happened to them, I would love to know more. But obviously, I know it can be traumatizing to talk about, because if something did happen to them that's traumatizing, they may not want to talk about it.
Right.
So I just personally, I would like to know what happened or how it happened, or did they pass away in this building? If not, where?
Right.
Then maybe they're just attached to a certain building because they went there so much. So,
Right. It can just be a positive experience. That's the part that I think we need to dispel people's understanding. Ghosts don't stay somewhere just because something bad happened to them there. They stay in
mhm,
places where they have good memories just as much. A
mhm,
place that's familiar, a place that they had a lot of happy times in. That's where they want to hang out.
mhm,
They're not necessarily hanging out anywhere for anything nefarious or nasty. A lot of times they're there because that's where they felt their most comfortable and their most pleasure. And they had their most wonderful moments with their family and friends. And so that's where they want to stay. That's
mhm,
that's the moment they live in, and that's where their heart and mind are at. Um, it's not always about something icky or yucky. And so if you're curious and if you want to know more about this type of thing, definitely check out the Oregon Ghost Conference and sign up. And like Summer was saying, there's ghost tours all over. There's ghost tours in
oh, yeah.
Portland and Seattle, and I know there's ghost tours probably in every city in America if you look for them. You just have to look for them and find them. There's Facebook pages for ghost hunting teams. You can ask questions. The paranormal community is very understanding and very compassionate and very generous with helping people understand things and helping to find answers.
Mhm,
Um, I don't know of a ghost team anywhere that charges. If you need help figuring out a ghost situation at your house, people come to your house for free. They
yeah.
don't charge. They'll come and help you to
If
sort
if
things
they're
out.
charging you, then it's a ripoff. Don't do it.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Um, because people that care about ghosts want to handle them with respect and care, just like a living person. And so if you're having to deal with the paranormal and it's not comfortable, if something feels off or you just don't know why someone's haunting your house, definitely call a paranormal ghost team and ask them. The team
Mhm.
that Summer and I are on is GAPS, Guardian Angel Paranormal Society. Um, they have a web page, they have a Facebook page. I would encourage you to contact them and ask for help. Um, tell me, what are you most proud of in all the work that you've done with ghost hunting? What are you most, this is like amazing that this happened or that happened, and what do you think about it now?
I Growing into the paranormal, I feel accomplished for the things that I've grown into of connecting with children to, you know, answering sometime even getting responses from children too. Like getting all those things for potential maybe closure.
Right.
Growing now a team for paranormal lives to growing a family almost that everybody can lean on each other for.
Right.
That it's great to find people, especially that are into the same thing, and
Right.
to debunk things that are not even questionable. That we're, oh, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that.
Right.
Where'd that come from? Oh, I don't know. And, having somebody on our team that loves to do that stuff, like, I love that so much that because we
Yeah.
needed somebody like that, and so it's just a great experience to grow and hear things or see things
Right.
I that I could never experience. So,
So how would you explain to someone or talk to someone that is curious about the ghost hunting community? What would you say to tell them to move forward? How would you encourage someone to go for it?
definitely find an investigation, ghost hunting investigation that is open to the public first. Bring an EVP, so a recorder of some sort, like what I have here. Like this is on Amazon. If you just go and get one, it's like this was like $35, and I got some evidence off of this. And you just put it, if you're in a room with like 30 people and somebody's just talking, make sure it's not loud or anything like that. Put it down somewhere And if you are asking questions, ask one question, yes or no questions, and then you'll get a response of a yeah or yes or no or something that is an easy response to, because it's not much energy that they're taking. It's
Right.
it's somewhat less energy, but if you want a full sentence, sometimes you won't get those. And that's okay, because then you'll just get your yes or no. So EVP recorders, an EMF recorder, the two simplest things that you can get for any investigation, really. Um, they're cheap, they're reasonable, they're not super expensive. If you've got something going on in your house and you're curious if somebody's there with you, get a recorder, sit down. You can even use your phone for a
Yep.
recording session to sit down in your house, make sure it's quiet, ask questions, and then listen to it back. And if you get a response, then there's clearly somebody in your house or somebody is with
Right.
you of some sort. So those are my recommendations. But first, do an investigation, a ghost investigation, so you know, like, what am I looking for? What am I doing? Or even
Right.
use YouTube. You can use YouTube even. I'm sure there's a
Right.
lot of resources on YouTube or even Google that will help you with those things.
Right.
So definitely look into those things before you just jump the gun into it. So
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And I definitely think it's worth investigating. Just if you've never talked to a ghost or you don't know what it's like to talk to a ghost, I do think YouTube is an excellent resource to find things and to check things out. Um, what are some closing thoughts? What would you like to tell people who are thinking, I don't know that this is for me? I don't know that, you know, I don't think it's real. I think it's all made up. What would you say to someone that doesn't believe in ghosts at all?
if I can share my EVP sessions with certain people, I probably would. Just so that they can actually be like, you didn't was that somebody else's voice? Clearly, when it's a whisper, nobody's whispering. Everybody's
Yeah.
using their voice.
Right.
So, can you explain to me who would be whispering? That wouldn't be me by all means, because I love to whisper, but I used my voice loud and clear during
Right.
my EVP sessions. Those that are like, I don't know, this is false information. This isn't real. If you don't believe in this stuff, okay, then go to the Conjuring house and tell me when you see a door open and somebody is behind it. Go look behind it and tell me if there's somebody there.
Right.
That's my point of view. The most haunted place, and I feel like it's the most haunted place in America, is the Conjuring House, and they have open investigations, tours there, and everything. I just saw it on Facebook and TikTok, so
Yeah.
definitely look into that if you don't believe in paranormal.
Yeah. I actually had an experience at the Oregon State Mental Hospital. I did an internship there, and
Oh my gosh.
when you go through training to work there, you have to take all these classes to learn how to deal with the patients. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter what department you're in, you have to take these certain classes. It's
Mhm.
introductions. And in one of the classes that I was in, it was the children's ward that we were in. It used to be a hospital ward. The state hospital used to be divided in adults and children separate.
Mhm.
And so children that were considered to be dangerous or had mental issues were all stuck in this room together with beds.
Oh wow.
And I didn't know that at the time. I just knew that we were in another part of the hospital where there were classrooms. And so we were sitting at these tables, two people at a time. And so I have ADHD. So I like to sit at the front of the class because if anyone's in front of me, I'm distracted. I can't pay attention.
Mhm.
So I try to sit by the teacher so I can focus. And this nice lady was sitting to my left. And to my right, there was a doorway going to, I don't know what, but in the middle of class, the teacher's narrating information. And all of a sudden, the doorknob starts to move. And so I reach my arm over. I didn't want to take my eyes off it. And I'm tapping the lady next to me. And I go, did you see that? Can you see that? And she goes, yes. And so we're both looking at it. And then finally, I just kind of stuck my finger in the air to get the teacher's attention. And without skipping a beat, she goes, it's the ghost. It's okay. And she just kept going. And I went, what? And so immediately when she finished
Oh my
the
gosh.
session, I'm like, where does that room go to? I had to debunk it. I had to know what
Mhm.
was going on and was this real? So I walk around to see if there's any other access to that doorway. It's a
Mhm.
closet. It's a
Oh,
closet.
wow.
And so I'm talking to everybody going, did anyone do anything by this wall? Did anyone shake the wall or bump into it? Or nope. And so I came around and I asked the teacher, I said, what's the deal? What did you just kind of nonchalantly poo poo that it's a ghost and move forward? And she goes, it happens all the time. And I went, what? Really? And she goes, here, I'll show you. And so they unlocked the door because I was persistent. I was like, I want to see.
Mhm.
So this had been part of the original room. There were two big push up windows, old style windows that were latched and locked,
Mhm.
and just some boxes.
Oh, wow.
There's absolutely no way that a human being was on the other side of that door turning the knob. It was physically impossible. So
That's
something else was
crazy.
moving the doorknob. And so things like that have happened to me throughout my life in different locations. And I can tell you, if you're not there, it sounds unreal and it sounds unbelievable. But when you're sitting there in a room full with 30 people that saw the damn doorknob move, sorry, but we're not all crazy. We're not all nuts. We all saw it. The whole classroom was in a roar afterwards. We had the hardest time settling down. And then we kept staring at the damn doorknob through the rest of the class, waiting for it to happen again because it doesn't seem real. And it's like, pinch me, pinch me. Is this real? What happened? Oh my God.
Mhm.
But something wanted attention and the doorknob just kept moving and kept moving at the initial part of the class. It was fun. It wasn't scary. It was exciting. It was like, really? But finding out that there was no other way for it to move was even more exciting for me
Yeah.
because I knew that I did everything humanly possible to make sure that that was not someone physically doing that. It had to be a ghost. It had to be something else out of this world.
That's crazy. The doorknob. That's
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. But things happen everywhere. It's not
Yeah.
just, yeah, they happen all over. They happen all over. I do seances on Sunday nights, and I can tell you that there's a ton of ghosts that need closure. They're everywhere, everywhere. Um, they're in the in between, like Summer was describing, and they just have something to share. They just have a
Mhm.
story they want it told, or they just want to talk about why they're hanging out, or they just want to connect. They just want to connect. Um, it's awesome. I think the spirit world is much bigger than ours. I believe that. I believe the spirit world is humongous. Um, and I think it's very exciting and fun. I think it's wonderful. And I'm so glad that we have some way to talk about it because I
Yeah.
want people to not be
Yeah.
scared and
Yeah.
know that it's okay. You can talk about this stuff and nobody's going to make fun of you. There's a huge community that will support you and your curiosity, and just start digging in.
Yep. Yep. Definitely do some looking around for investigations and stuff. So there's a lot of things out there that you can do research on and find,
Yeah.
oh, investigation near me. Oh, there's one tomorrow or there's one next week or whatnot.
Yeah.
So
Check out a ghost tour. They're fun.
they
They're
are super
definitely
fun.
fun. Well, Summer, thank you so much for coming on today
Yeah.
and doing this.
Yeah.
This is fun.
I know
We
we've
like
been
to,
trying to get this done, but
yeah,
busy life, busy schedule, children, everything.
yes,
So
everything, right?
yeah.
Because she's not just a ghost hunter, she's a mommy and a
I'm a
wife and
mommy
stuff.
and I'm a full-time veterinary assistant, so I am busy.
Yeah,
Busy. So
definitely. Well, thank you everyone for watching and listening. And please hit the thumbs up and like this. It helps the page, and I appreciate it a whole bunch. And please share with your friends. And if you have questions or you want to know stuff, you can reach me. I've got that address on the bottom there. Holly'sPandorium@gmail.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram. And again, Summer, thank you so much for joining me
you're
today. I
very welcome.
appreciate you so much. And
Yeah.
we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks,
Yes.
everybody.
Bye.